Well, it says we are live. Let's give it a few moments to catch up
All
and
right.
mute the other side.
Yep, I'm waiting for it to kick in.
Oh, there we go. And caught it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Sweet. Well, Big Johnson, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, sir. How are you?
I'm doing very well, doing very well. Well, listen, it's nice to see all the early people coming into the chat. Some saying, "Hey, who's this person posting a chat?" So it's good to see everyone. I'm still here. I'm still around. But as I said, I've been on a little bit of a sabbatical, taking a little bit of a hibernation, and starting to get the urge and the vibe again to maybe make some videos and that sort of thing. We'll see how that turns out, how that goes. The production might be a little different based on time because I'm involved in some new and different things out there. So maybe we can address more of that at a later time. But Big Johnson, what is going on with you?
Man, still on the furlough and wanting to get back to work and get back in the groove. What about you?
I'm thankfully lucky and knock on wood. I mean, I'm still working. I work from home now, which is a very different atmosphere, different environment. Although I must say, and I've started to tell some of my coworkers who I usually see every day downtown, I'm kind of getting used to this. There are some advantages to working from home. There are fewer distractions, even though my office is cluttered with distractions. I'm able to kind of ignore those a little bit, but I can get up periodically and I can go wander around. I can go do something else for 5 minutes, and that I have to say is actually kind of a nice thing. So it's going to be an odd transition, believe it or not, to go back to the office, hopefully very soon. I mean, I think a lot of people are tired of all this nonsense. They're tired of being told that they can't go anywhere and all of that. I echo that sentiment. So it's been very different, but I think a lot of companies are learning about work from home, and perhaps a lot of policies and things are going to change a little bit because of this experience that so many of us had. So I don't know.
What's up, 17?
What's up, fellers?
How you doing?
How are you?
I'm okay. We're doing good. We're doing well. We just had a state-ordered mandate from the governor's orders that now every time you go out, if you are going into a place where you cannot maintain safe social distancing, then you are now required to wear a mask or some form of cloth over your face. So whatever that means.
Right. We were talking before the chat started about how all of this might change our culture just a little bit in terms of things like shaking hands and how close, people are used to getting pretty close to each other, kind of up in each other's faces and that sort of thing. And I'm wondering how much of that will change permanently or maybe temporarily, or I don't know. I mean, it's very different.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I'm able to work from home. I actually went into work today for a brief period of time. But I look, I've benefited from it because I've been able to spend a lot of time at home. Like you said, I can get up and do what I want. I don't really have a fixed schedule, so to speak. So I have a couple of things to do in the early morning, then maybe one or two things in mid-afternoon, and then late afternoon. But in between, I'm able to get up, go out, play a game of horse with my son or something like that. But it hasn't been all bad for me. I can only speak for myself and obviously not for other people who've been suffering through this. I don't know what the end game is. You listen to the governor of New York and he keeps talking about, we're past this or that. But when you look at the numbers and the percentages, we had a 1.6% decrease in the amount of hospitalizations, and that's very small. And yet we still had over 740 people die last night in New York State. So it's kind of, I know that they want to restart the economy, but I'm not sure how that's going to be possible. They can't even provide testing for anybody here. They're not retesting people. And, for example, I know somebody who was actually diagnosed with COVID-19, and then she was quarantined for 14 days. She went back in and tested a second time, and it's been 28 days, and she has not been able to leave her house because she is still positive. So it's like, there's so many unknowns. And I think that's the biggest problem I have with this whole thing is there's not a lot of information. Like there's not a lot of anything, it's a lot of guessing. You know, we're going to restart the economy, but we have no idea because we don't have enough tests. But we're just going to take a risk and chance and see if you guys get sick. You know, I don't know. I don't know. Again, I'm glad I'm not a politician right now because I don't know what the right answer is. You know, I know there's a lot of people who want to go back to work, but do we risk spreading it even more? And I know a lot of people are talking about, well, it's not a, you know, look how many people die from the flu. The flu is a whole different story, you know, because the flu, the way it transfers from one person to the next, it is very small compared to this thing. So for every person that comes in contact, 2 people get sick, and then those 2 people then infect 2 people, and then they infect 2 people. So it spreads like wildfire. And that's the problem with this damn virus. But I'm still 100% convinced anyway that this is a bioweapon from China.
Yeah.
I don't care, you know, what anybody tells me. It just, there's so many things you read and you just shake your head saying, what the hell is going on with this?
Yeah.
You know, they're finding it in, you know, I read something the other day, a coroner who was examining a dead body. They actually got COVID-19 by being exposed to the dead body. So that's, I mean, like, where does that happen?
Right.
So I don't know. I think it's just craziness right now, and it's kind of scary. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm still a little bit scared and freaked out about going out. You know.
I think it also has to do with the areas. You know, of course, like New York, you know, they're packed in there like sardines and living on top of each other, and of course, New York, you know, downtown.
Right.
But you know, in some areas, I mean, God, look at Montana. You know, I mean, it's wide open. You know, Texas, we're not, you know, we don't walk around with 9,000 people up and down a street usually.
Right.
So I think it's going to depend on the areas, and you know, of course, you're going to have to be aware of your surroundings and, you know, keep your distance from people. And I think it can be done and done properly. I'm not saying somebody might not get infected, but to just shut everything down and just say, well, this is the way it's going to be, you know, in some areas that's not right. And I know that a lot of it, it's not right at all, but in a lot of areas, you know, it kind of has to be that way until, you know, you kind of get through it. But and there's some people that are practicing correctly, and there's some people that are just doing what the hell they want. So,
right.
You know,
like Michiganders,
yeah,
people out in Michigan right now, they're protesting.
I'm gonna tell you what though. I'm gonna tell you what though. I'm proud as hell for them. You know, because I don't. You know, it's not just about. I mean, it was the gridlock. So, you know, this lady's saying all kinds of crazy stuff. You know, what they can and can't do, and what they can and can't buy, and stuff like that. I mean, it reminds me of like way back in the old days, if you'll remember, like the blue law. On Sundays, you could buy a hammer, but you couldn't buy nails. You know, you couldn't buy a football on a Sunday. I mean, that was we called it the blue law in Texas, and it was just ridiculous. And that's basically what she's saying. You know, you can't go out and go fishing by yourself and catch fish to provide for your family, but yet you can go to the grocery store and buy fish. I mean, it just these stupid ass, or you can't buy seeds, or you can't plant your gardens. I mean, that's just idiotic. That's just freaking stupid.
Well, you know? It's very quickly going to get to a point where people are revolting all over the place because we are not designed for that, especially in this day and age in this country with the freedoms that we have. Even people that you know, are far on the left eventually are going to be like, look, I'm tired of people telling me what I can and can't do. We need to get the show on the road. So this could backfire to some degree. We'll see. But you know, we spent a lot of time on the chat last week on Big Johnson's channel, kind of catching up and having a good time. We didn't answer as many questions, and I know we need to try and answer more questions this time and interact with everybody a little bit more. I actually saw a question from Art just a little while ago, and he's saying, how long will the inflated prices last? Now, I'm assuming you were referring to firearms because we are seeing some price differences with ammo and firearms, that sort of thing. But what do you guys think about that?
I mean, until demand slows down, I think it's going to be there, or until people start, you know, either buying elsewhere or you know, slow down on buying. I think it's going to happen everywhere, especially with ammo. I think I see it more so with ammo than I actually do a lot of guns, but that's just, you know, yeah. Okay. So he's saying, you know, products. Yeah. I mean, it's products that are in demand or that people want. I mean, we've seen an increase, and I've seen it on TV in some areas, you know, an increase in toilet paper. You know, I mean, not ripping people's heads off completely. I'm sure they are in some areas, but you know, it's kind of supply and demand. I mean, I'm all for people making money, not price shopping, but if there's a high demand for it, they're going to increase the price. I mean, on anything.
All right.
So I don't know. I mean, we're talking about demand or prices on guns, but I guess it's going to be based upon where you're going. I mean, if you go to a local shop, I guarantee you they're going to be pricing you out of the universe. But I mean, I'm as you guys were talking, I'm looking on Gun Broker, and we all know how cheap APXs are right now. And I'm looking at some of them on Gun Broker, and for example, brand new, no bids on it at all, $369 for a brand new APX compact. Yeah. There's another one on here for $329. So. There's another one here for almost two. Well, that's a small one. That's one of those mini ones. But here's another one, $246 with 7 bids. So I think it depends where you go. I mean, if you're going to shop local, yeah, you're probably going to get gypped a little bit over on the local stores. But I think online, as long as they have their inventory, I think prices are pretty stable online. At least from what I'm seeing here. I mean, I could be 100% wrong, but it doesn't look like it's affecting much on the Gun Broker side. So
that's good. That's good. I think we've seen it maybe a little bit more on the ammo side. Ammo has certainly gotten a little bit more expensive. We've seen it at Centerfire a little bit, and that's from a distribution perspective. So and sometimes you have to pass a little bit of that increase along. There's not much you can do about it. But it sounds like you got to shop smart, especially for firearms. You can find some deals. There are some ways to get into good guns for not gouging prices. So, and we've seen this before where there is some sort of incident or something that happens. I mean, we all remember Sandy Hook in 2012, and we saw prices increase, and even things like 9mm go up a couple bucks a box. That really never came back down. We didn't again see the $7 or $8 or $9 boxes commonly on the shelves like we did prior to 2012. We started to see $11 or $12, or even getting into $13, $14, $15, things like that for a box of 59. And so we may end up seeing that again. Hopefully not. Hopefully things will level back out, but who knows?
Yeah. One thing I'm seeing, the prices going down on are ARs. Not so much pistols. I mean, you see good deals on pistols like full size APXs and stuff for $299, but ARs are actually decreasing in price. I don't know if it's just a lot of people aren't buying, and I'm not saying every AR, just some AR 15s and AR 10s. So I guess if you're in the market for those, or even furniture for them, I've seen a lot of great prices on that. So
yeah. Harry is saying a lot of shops are buying online for retail and doing a standard markup for ammo because they need to have inventory. And that makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
I'm looking around to see if there are any other questions. Well, what else is going on with you guys while I'm scouting around here?
Well, like I said, just
nothing.
ready to get this shit going, man.
I just installed the Midwest Industries front end on my Marlin, the Dark Series. I didn't even review the gun yet. I just took the front end off there and put that damn thing on. It wasn't a bad install. The biggest pain in the ass was putting the washers in. So I looked at 500 videos and taped them to the thing, and then of course they moved. I'm like, damn it. So other than that, it was a fairly straightforward install, and it actually makes the front of that a lot lighter compared to the wooden stock it came with. But it's cool, man. I like it. I know there's going to be a lot of haters out there because it gets rid of the traditional look of a lever action, but why not, breathe a little bit of modern, freshness into it. I mean, it's nice. It's to me, it ups the game, and I know it's not everybody's favorite, type of gun or platform, but 6 rounds of 30-30 will hurt you.
Yeah, and you've kind of made it like, your zombified look, and I think it looks cool that way versus, we've all seen it in the old school way. I kind of like a little old with modern,
Sure.
kind of mix it up a little bit. I like that look better personally.
Yeah. I like it a lot. I think it's great. Now the install, I just kind of winged it. I didn't look at any videos or anything like that, and by and large, it was pretty straightforward. I did have one surprise. Those washers weren't bad. I just used gravity for that, and it seemed to work okay. But the spring I didn't really think about the spring for the magazine.
Oh, when you're
the tube,
the tube,
and that thing shot clear across the room. So that was a little bit of surprise.
It was kind of interesting because, you know, on every other lever action I have, you have the cap that comes off and the spring pops out. On this dark series, the 30-30, there's no cap. So basically, I couldn't even get the tube off. I had to actually take this little guy with the polymer side and actually beat the tube so that it would actually come out, because I guess whenever they coated the rifle or whatever it was, it was so locked in place that I couldn't get it to budge. And then I just, you know, tapped it slightly and was able to get it to budge. And then finally it popped off, but then the tube completely pops off and the spring is inside the tube. So it's kind of interesting that this was totally different. I was not expecting that because, you know, the way they hook it in with the screw that pops the tube off, there is no cap anymore. It's not needed. So that was kind of cool. I thought that was a nice way of them modernizing it even more on that dark lever.
Yeah, so you got to be careful when you're beating your tube.
I know. Can't beat those tubes too hard.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Ranger 10 is saying, are there any of the panel going to buy a gun that they always wanted with their stimulus check?
I didn't get one. I didn't get a stimulus check. I make way too much money. I'm rich.
Right.
That's right. Yeah, I'm so rich, guys, that I didn't qualify for the stimulus check. And that you can thank that for my wife and I working our asses off and getting nothing in return. So it is what it is, whatever. You know, hopefully it goes to people who really need it. Although I know people who are getting it who don't deserve it, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'm getting one either, but I'm not going to buy anything.
Yeah.
You know, I've been looking at handguns lately, you know, and I know we talked about the Archon, and I know you love that Archon, KS. But I swear to God, every time I look at that gun, I'm like, meh, you know, like I don't know. And then I was looking at, what are those, Shadow Systems, whatever the hell that is. What is it, like the
Shadow System Glock
like the MR20, the MR920.
Yeah, I was looking at that and I'm like, boy, but this is just a fancy Glock 19. Like, what is the point of that? You know, I can't really decide. You know, I don't know if I'm going to buy a gun, like a pistol or another rifle. I'm just not sure at this point.
The MR920 is kind of actually, it's slick. The cut for the RMR actually has all of the screws for all of the common dots built into it. It's new for this year. So it's a universal cut, ready to go, red dot acceptable firearm. No plates, no nothing. You just pop them in. I think that's kind of cool. So everything is going to sit ridiculously low in that slide. So your standard sights, whatever, are going to be fully co-witnessing. That's kind of cool.
Do you have one of those?
Yes.
You have one, KS?
I do.
So if you had to choose that between the Archon, which one would you choose?
The Archon. There's no. I think that's. I mean, it's a fantastic. You got to remember. Some of these, like the Zevs and the Shadow Systems, I mean, I think they're freaking cool guns. I love them, but they're, I don't know, kind of aftermarket put together, even designed from the ground up, but it's a different type of format than something like the Archon. I consider the Archon really a production firearm, even if it's in somewhat limited quantities. So it's kind of a different animal. And it's an incredible shooter. It's just fun. And it's so weird looking. And I just thoroughly enjoy that.
But
yeah, I kind of like that
gun too, though.
Say what?
It's a big gun too, though, correct?
Yeah, it's a bigger gun. It is.
It's big, but it should, I think, it should have a longer grip than what it does, personally. I think it should, you know, but that's just me too. So it's probably not, you know, for normal people, it probably wouldn't be, but
right.
I just wish the grip was a little longer. But I think they're nice. I think they're really nice guns.
Yeah, I think so too. So God's Wrath is saying, so are you three guys trying to buy ammo? If so, how often? What's your frequency?
Everything's shut down here, so you know, not essential.
Yeah, I mean, I have, you know, tons of ammo, and I bought some more right before it happened, and then I bought some right before I knew that it was going to go crazy. So I've got quite a bit, but you know, I don't ever get really low anyway. I always try to, you know, keep a pretty good amount. I mean, I had people hitting me up saying they couldn't get ammo, and they could get it. They just didn't want to pay what they, what some places were wanting for it, and they were trying to hit me up for ammo. And I was like, no, remember when you said I had too much ammo? So, I had some of those guys, oh, you have too much ammo. That's crazy. You only need, X amount. And I'm like, who are you to tell me what I need? So, I think if you just planned ahead, or if you can pick up some here and there, do it. If you can't buy but I try to buy 1,000 rounds at a time, or 2,000 at a time, versus just a box here and there.
Yeah, I think in this time that we're in, if you can afford it and you see some ammo, and you need it or want it, pick it up. And I'm not encouraging hoarding per se, but if you need to fill a niche, if you need to make sure your magazines are full and that sort of thing, I would definitely recommend doing it. I try to keep pretty well stocked, so I still buy when I can through whatever channels I have, but I keep enough to where I've got reserve, and then I've got, hey, I can spend this if I want, and that's kind of how I look at it. And when the spending is gone, the shooting is gone for the time being, or it becomes very limited. So, I just have kind of try and plan ahead as best I can.
Yeah, and speaking of that, now of course we have the ammo that we have. Are you going to go out and just continue to shoot like you always have, or are you going to slow down a little bit? What's your kind of plan, or and I know 17, you're, a lot of your areas are shut down like you were saying, but what is y'all's planned on kind of shooting and, staying with it?
Real quick shout out to Alaskan Ballistics. Thanks, brother. Really appreciate appreciate the donation, man. Good to see you. 17, what do you think?
Well, I'm just doing a lot of dry firing. I'm finger banging every gun I own pretty much every day, all day. Even when I'm working, if I'm even on a conference, I'll have like what you see right here is what I do with the conferences I've been doing. And I'll have my microphone on mute and I'm just sitting here dry firing the whole time. That's all I'm doing. The other night I was watching a movie with my wife, and I pulled a gun out and started shooting everybody on the screen.
Nice.
Just stupid shit like that. It's driving me insane. I went outside and took pictures of guns in the grass. That's how pathetically bored I am at this point with firearms. And it's just right now there's nothing open. Everything's it's non-essential according to King Andrew. So as a result, the ranges are closed and all gun stores are closed. So kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So just lots of dry firing. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm definitely shooting less, but that's been the case for a few months now. I'm shooting about once every 2 weeks versus once or twice every week. So it's just when I can, but now that'll probably thin out a little bit more just to kind of space out the ammo usage a bit for at least the time being. So especially 22, because 22 is a little bit hard to find, which is always irritating to me. And manufacturers aren't as likely to replenish the 22 like they are 9mm, that sort of thing. And which makes sense, but it also kind of sucks if you have 22s and like shooting them. But I don't know. So there is a question. Brian had a question here. What do you think of Warrior Poet's new media network? He's going to do well with it, he says. What do you think?
I think it's great. It's something, a new realm that he's going into, and I think he's going to do he's very successful with it. He's also incentivizing people, to win a Humvee and some other things. So I say good on him, man. He's branching out, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. If people are willing to subscribe and pay the fee, do it.
17, what do you think?
I don't subscribe to him, so I have no idea. I don't subscribe to a lot of the big channels. I don't. I kind of lost my interest in them quite a while ago, and I'm sure he's a great guy and seems like a genuine guy, and that's great. But I'm not gonna. I don't really give a shit, to be honest with you. I don't care.
Right on. Well, I like the guy. I like the channel. Okay. He's a pretty knowledgeable guy and entertaining, if nothing else. But time will tell as far as that network goes. We've seen this done before with Full 30, and not to knock Full 30 or the channels on it, but it turned into a kind of an exclusivity sort of thing. And I am absolutely not a fan of that in any way, shape, or form, even if there are limitations. I mean, still there's something about that kind of chaps me a little bit. So again, time will tell. I mean, he's saying right off the bat it's a paid thing. Maybe that's good. And maybe that'll promote more channels to try and do that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I think if it's something that, people want to subscribe to and pay for, I mean, by all means, do what you want to do. And that, 17 brought up a point, as far as dry fire, man, I've been wearing this Mantis out. If you follow me on Instagram, you can see where I've been posting my scores and stuff. Not that it's anything spectacular, but I mean, I've already had to charge this thing. Like, I think it's almost on its third charge, or coming up for its third charge, like in a week and a half. I mean, I've been wearing this thing out.
Right on. Randy, yeah, Centerfire stayed open. They're a firm believer in keeping the doors open, and a lot of law enforcement trained there, and so it was quickly considered essential. There are restrictions there a little bit. It's not by appointment or anything like that. It's just trying to keep the population down, just to maintain some of the safety we're going through right now. But it's open, so there you go. Come see us. Let's see. Have you guys seen any questions out there?
And I just want to clear record. I'm not hating on Lovell because he has great hair, Uncle Dan.
It's a good point.
I'm not hating on him at all. I mean, God bless him. I hope he does really well. But I'm not into that stuff. I don't really follow the big channels, and a lot of it is too commercialized for me, and it's not really what I'm into. It's about it.
Yeah. I must admit, and I still watch a lot of firearms videos. I much prefer the guy sitting in his basement, just honestly talking about the firearm he has in front of him, and not worrying about advertisements and big production. Although big production's fine. I mean, it's nice to have the good lighting and the good audio and everything. But at the end of the day, I want to hear what somebody has to say about a gun. That's it for me. That's all I want. I want to know, hey man, I really like this gun, and here's why. And here are a couple of things I don't like about it, or whatever. That's really the core that I'm looking for, especially when I'm thinking about buying a gun or have one and want to hear somebody else's opinion about it or whatever. So the production and ads and all that kind of stuff, whatever,
Yeah, I don't have to feel like I'm watching a movie. I just kind of like it from an average guy's standpoint.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I got to hunt around here a little bit more. Hurt One is saying, how long are you back for good? I've always been around, just kind of hibernated for a while, but I've got some ideas, got some things. I'm getting a little bored, and I still have a camera. So we'll see what that turns into when it turns into something. So we'll see.
Whatever gets you going.
That's right. That's exactly right. I suppose if you get bored enough, something's bound to happen.
Sure.
Nightwolf is saying, hey KS, I remember you were going to get into ARs. Did this stop you? No. I have several. In fact, I can't show them. Of course, we can't do that anymore, but there's one in the closet behind me, and it's just a 10.5-inch Palmetto State Armory build. It's kind of cool. It's the old school. It's got the handle on it, which I really like for whatever reason. I think that's kind of a cool look. No optic or anything, very basic, but it does have a Yankee Hill suppressor on it. So it's kind of a cool gun, all FTE furniture and everything. So kind of fun, something a little bit different. So I'm enjoying the ARs. They are still not a primary focus, and they probably never will be. I am at the core a handgun guy. So
yeah, Johnny Danger has a question if you see it there.
All right. Please hold. Oh, here we go. There you go. All right. So what are you guys currently carrying? Thanks, Johnny.
What do you got, 17?
I was carrying the FN 509 MRD in a Harry's holster.
And I've got the CZ P10C with the comp and the red dot, and in a Harry's holster at the appendix. And I do carry it home. Even though I'm homebound, I still carry it home.
Nice. I'll tell you, I have been carrying almost exclusively the Glock 43 lately. For whatever reason, it's very comfortable. Harry's holster, of course, actually outside the waistband quite a bit. So that's been fun. I'm having to transition back to inside the waistband as the t-shirt goes on, and no sweatshirt or anything like that. But that's been my go-to for a little while. I haven't had the 26 or the 365 XL on my waist for probably a month. So kind of different.
Yeah. Since y'all have been at home, and this is a question that I was asked and I answered the guy, but have y'all had any, like, and I know you're going to get your normal deliveries if it's Amazon or FedEx or whatever, but have y'all had any people come into your door like, you know, hey, we're the COVID-19 team, or any weird stuff like that? Have y'all had any of that?
No, I'd shoot him.
I will blast them. I'm telling you right now, nobody's coming to my house.
What's funny is I was out in the front yard and I saw this guy walking around, and he had this little vest on, and it had like a crossing guard X, and he just, you know your neighborhood. And I was like, what's this clown doing walking up and down the sidewalk? And he would walk down the sidewalk, and then he'd kind of look up at a door, and then he'd walk down the sidewalk and look at another door. And he wasn't reading like meters, gas meters or water meters or anything. He was just walking down the sidewalk, looking around. And he'd look to the left, look to the right, and he wasn't taking pictures or anything. And I was like, what the hell is this clown doing? And he never came down to my area, because I was out there for a while. But I was just like, didn't know if y'all had any of the people, because I've seen and, people doing videos of their Ring doorbells, and you can see these guys dressed up in these hazmat wannabe suits and stuff. And I was just like, man, I wish somebody would just do that to me. I just wish it.
So I sort of picture a sitcom where that's happening, and you've got the one guy at his door with the glass door, and he's got the shotgun in his hand and a towel, and he said, "Don't worry, just cleaning it." That message, like, you need to keep walking, Jack. There's nothing you need here, sort of thing. That's probably about the reaction I would give them.
Yeah, I was just like, I hope they knock on my door.
Yeah, just come in, come out to the door with like a mustard stained t-shirt with your underwear on, your tighty whities with a shotgun. Can I help you? Can I help you, son?
You here to help me polish my gun?
Right. Oh, that could be taken the wrong way, though. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. So Harry was asking real quick, what suppressors are you shooting the most right now? So I am real into rugged suppressors. I've got 3 of the Obsidians and then 2 Oculus, and I absolutely love them. The Obsidians are amazing, and they're all modular, so you can cut them down in half. So I think that's a really cool look, especially for a pistol, but even a PDW. So I spend most of my time with those, and then I've still got the Omega 45, of course, and then the Yankee Hill. That's pretty much it. I'm sort of at a point I really don't want any more. People keep talking me into more, but I've really got to stop.
I'm still waiting for mine to get out of jail. I've got that Q-Trash Panda 30 cal, and I've got the Dead Air Mask, HD 22 that I'm waiting. I mean, I can go shoot them, while I'm at the range. That's the good thing about, going to Texas Gun Experience. You can shoot them there, and I know you can at yours too. And that's a good thing about that. But man, I just want to get them out so I can just do what I want, and don't have to go check them out like, a freaking hall pass. But,
right. I'm trying to scroll back here. Alaskan had a good question just a little while ago, actually. He did. He's got a question for us, and it was addressed to me, but this is really for any of us. But he said, Chaos Gun Guy, even though you're a handgun guy, do you still believe that I think he's trying to say a handgun exists to get you to your rifle or shotgun, which is a great question. So what do you guys think about that?
Go ahead, 17.
I mean, what do I think about that? I mean, in a home situation, like a home invasion, I don't know. I don't know what the practical purpose is going to be to go and try to find a long gun. Especially recently, I don't know if you guys read that article or watched the news report on that UFC guy who had a home invasion. Mm-hmm. And he beat the piss out of this kid who, he outweighed him by 45 pounds. And the dude was so high on God knows what that he said he put everything on this kid, elbows, knee strikes, you name it. And he couldn't stop him. He just couldn't even barely control this kid. Yeah. And then you think about in a situation where you have somebody who breaks in your home who's high as a kite, and you pull a handgun, and I don't know. I really don't know. Is it going to get me to my rifle or shotgun or AR or whatever it is? The only thing I can think of is that, you hopefully you can put as many rounds into the target and put in some lethal points. The neck area, soft tissue areas, the face would be great. And then hopefully stop that threat immediately. But, at the same time, everybody's situation is going to be different. It depends on what you've prepared for. I mean, in a home invasion, are you looking for the threat, or are you waiting for the threat to come and get you? I don't know. I mean, I think everything's different. Everybody's got a different scenario. Me, I have what I have, and I'm going to put as many bullets as I can into the person, and hopefully that will stop the threat. And hopefully it's not multiple people, but that's why I have several magazines. So,
right.
Yeah. I mean, my thought process is kind of the same. It's going to depend on where you are, what's happening. If you're in your home, I feel pretty sufficient myself because I don't just have 5 rounds in a magazine. I've got some pretty decent magazines. So I don't feel inferior. However, when I'm traveling and stuff and I'm in a big hotel or like this big, where I might have to shoot down or up or whatever, that's why I carry an AR, pistol with me, or at least sometimes a PCC, because I just think that, more points of contact, you could have more accuracy if you have to take out bad guys from a little more distance. But in your house, what your distances are in your house. You should be able to cover that area pretty quickly, even with a pistol. But I feel pretty sufficient with a pistol in my home. But I don't just have a pistol in my home. I've got other avenues that I can go to. But, I guess it just depends on what you're looking for or what you're expecting out of it or what you're hoping for.
Yeah, it makes sense. Real quickly, thanks, Non-Tactical Shooter. Really appreciate the donation. Very, very nice of you. Good to see you, man. He's saying y'all stay safe. Well, you stay safe as well. Seriously. As far as the pistol to get you to, I think it is. I think it's all situational. In my house, I don't think in those terms. I'm not looking to grab a rifle necessarily to take care of something like that. I mean, I want whatever's close to me to try and deal with the threat, deal with the situation. And it happens that handguns are closer with a Remington 870, not entirely too far away, sort of thing. But generally speaking, in the heat of the moment, I'm just trying to go forward, do what I need to do. And it's not about saying, okay, now I need to go over and I need to get this. So I just don't think in those terms. But in some situations, sure. Yeah. Your main battle implement would be your main tool, right? That typically would be a rifle, rather than a handgun. But for the average civilian, probably not as much. I could be wrong on that, but that would be my guess. So, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and also if you've ever popped a pistol off in a house, it's freaking loud. I mean, everybody's like, oh, I would, and of course, hopefully, if you could, you would want it suppressed or a rifle suppressed. But man, you're gonna probably scare the piss out of them. I doubt if they hear that popping off, they're gonna keep running at you. But again, if there's drugs involved, you never know. But yeah, you pop a round off in the house or in a house, and you're definitely gonna know you did it.
Right.
Oh, it's the man with the beard.
What's up, man?
Not much. Just got back.
How was your day?
How's that Glock 44, buddy?
What's that?
How's that Glock 44?
Oh, it's doing great. It's real good. It flew real nice when I threw it.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm out of the loop. I'm out of the loop. What happened?
Oh,
So he put a post. Go ahead, tell him.
Today. Yeah, and I got pissed and threw it, and my wife thought it was funny, so we put it on Instagram.
Nice. Good. Did it survive?
Oh yeah, as well as it was before I threw it.
Well, at least it didn't go off when you threw it.
No, it wouldn't go off when I was trying to shoot it, so I figured I was safe enough.
There you go.
This will be a good video. I'm excited to see that.
What have you guys been up to? I didn't get to see the chat yet. I didn't know what you were talking about.
We were just talking about you, of course.
Well, and this brings up a valid point for Honest also. We were talking about, do you believe in the, a pistol gets you to your rifle?
It depends on what situation you're in. Like home defense, maybe, but I mean, if you're out at the mall, I mean, pistol gets you your pistol. You got to be confident with what you carry the most. That's why I train with handguns the most. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm different, but like if you can shoot a handgun well, you can pretty much shoot a rifle well. You know, less points of contact, heavier trigger, lighter weight gun versus, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, I wanted to get your opinion. That's pretty much what we said too. So it depends on the situation. You know, we're not going to.
I was going to say, I'm a statistics guy, and statistically, you're way more likely to fight with a handgun. I mean, look at the handgun confrontations in the United States versus rifles. It's much higher.
Right.
It's about location and stuff, and you know the usability. You know, I don't think many people are going to be carrying AR-15s with them and to go shopping or to the grocery store.
Yeah.
So the likelihood of that happening, you know, home defense, different story. You know, that's why I agree. It's all about the situation. You know.
What do you guys think about like go bag type of stuff? Like somebody seeing a mall shooting and running inside and running outside, grabbing their AR and coming back. That's got to be the stupidest idea that I can think of, at least for me.
Well, I think that is also potentially is it prosecutable? I don't think that that would be looked upon favorably, and I'm not a lawyer, by the way, but I don't think that would be advisable unless you're a law enforcement.
The problem too, you know, I think the problem too with something like that is that could you imagine being that guy who's all tacked out, runs out to his truck, grabs his AR, runs back in, and now the cops have to decide if you're the bad guy or the good guy.
Right.
You know, it's like, why get yourself involved in that? I know people want to be heroes and shit, but you know what? Here's what I would do. I'd take cover and I'd wait. I'd wait for the perp to come to me, and then I'd take him out from that point. You know, call me a coward, whatever you want, but I'm not getting killed by the cops and I'm not getting killed by a bad guy, but I sure as hell will kill the bad guy if he gets close enough. I just think it's not practical. I think people watch way too many movies. That's what I think.
Oh yeah. Well, imagine what you're
not John Wick guys.
You're the officer. Yeah, I mean, like if you see a concealed carry guy draw a firearm and engage some mass shooter, well, that's great. But like, can you imagine another guy running in with tack gear and a rifle and everything? You would assume he's with the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't you think? Yeah. So it seems like it would be more trouble than what it's worth for you and all parties involved.
Yeah. Well, and you know, there's guys, you know, that carry, you know, the little go bags like in the backpacks where they've got the PDW in there or, you know, something like that. And if that's what you've got and you're able to deploy it, you know, hey, use that. But, you know, most people aren't going to drag, you know, a 16-inch AR out of there. But
well, don't get me wrong. I mean, I got a truck gun. It's just not for stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a bad idea. As long as you're in an area where thefts aren't really high and it's not, I wouldn't put a Wilson Combat in there, you know, but.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and there's ways of, you know, putting it in a truck and actually having it, you know, really locked down too. I mean, they're going to have to steal your truck or bring a hell of a lot of stuff to get it out of there. You know,
yeah, I was going to say that all depends, right? You know,
Yeah.
what kind of power tools they have, what expertise they have. I mean, you could have it in a vault at home and they could still get into it if they're.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a truck vault where I can put up to a 16-inch rifle and multiple shotguns and all that. And it's, you know, it's actually anchored in the bed of my truck. So good luck getting it out. I mean, it's going to take you, they're going to have to bring a sack lunch because it's going to take a while. But I don't leave guns in there overnight either. You know, it's just if I'm traveling somewhere and need to run in and grab something, that's where it is. But other than that, you know, and always a gun is on my person.
Yeah, that's always kind of a home defense faux pas I think about. You know, if people leave a gun in their car, that way the guy who's going to break in your house can arm himself first.
Yeah.
He can pop in there and you know what I mean? Or people that take the carry gun off and leave it on the nightstand in front of the front door. I got a buddy who does that. It's like, well, I mean, what's the guy going to do when he kicks in your door? You know what I mean? He's going to see that gun. He's going to like, you know what? I'll leave that there. That's not mine.
Yeah.
No, he's going to grab that shit.
Or the guys that, you know, we've talked about this before, the guys that have, you know, truck protected by Glock or Smith & Wesson or all that's like, okay, hey, I'll just bash that window and grab your shit real quick.
Right. That, you know, I am a huge fan of being invisible, of blending in, not dressing tactically. I mean, I never wear any shirts out in public that have anything to do with firearms whatsoever. I drive a pretty inconspicuous car and there are no stickers or decals or anything like that. I want people to just not regard me at all. And if something happens, hopefully I'm not, somebody's not watching me because I might be, you know, concealed carrying or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, no doubt.
I don't wear a shirt or shorts. I just go out naked and I'm good. You know, I wear some socks, a pair of boots, throw the gun in the boot. Nobody knows.
You might attract the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
I get a new friend.
Well, you guys don't do that too? Is that weird?
Yeah.
I could around here. Nobody'd even notice.
Yeah. They might try to trade you for a pack of smokes.
There you go.
No, or roll of toilet paper at this point.
So real quick, Tanqueray 10 Gin and Tonic. I like that name, by the way. Says, what do you think of the SIG 716 G2? He just got it. And by the way, thank you very much for the donation. Really appreciate that. So what are your thoughts on that, guys?
I definitely like the Patrol, but I know I'll never own one because it's New York State. It's a beautiful rifle.
Yeah, I don't get into the SIG rifles too much. I've shot the Copperhead and stuff, but yeah, I have no experience.
Yeah, I don't either. So I don't want to, tell you that'd be something I would get. It's not on my radar, but if that's what you're into and that's what you like, grab it and enjoy it.
Yeah. I don't have any experience either. I think it looks very cool. I still have my my MPX and absolutely love it. It's a champ, and so I've had a good experience with that. But it certainly looks very cool. No doubt about it. What
do you like about the MPX over an AR, let's say?
Over an AR, I'm a big fan of PDWs. I've still got 4 PDWs here. I love the size, the simplicity. I like the 9mm caliber. I mean, that's a big deal. It's easy to suppress. It's inexpensive. All the stuff we always talk about here. But the SIG is just it's a robust build. I feel like I could probably run over it with my car and not worry about it at all. And I think it's cool looking as well. I think it's a good build all the way around.
Yeah, there was a question that you missed, I think, from Ohio Gun Gear. I think he's up there somewhere.
You guys see a role for PCCs at all?
I do. I definitely do. I've got a bag with me with actually the Banshee. I've been carrying around quite a bit. I love it. I like the Glock mag flexibility and that sort of thing. I think they're relatively light, but they're small and easily deployable when needed.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're fun as hell. I've got the CZ Scorpion, I've got a 16-inch PCC, and I've got, the little PDW thing for the Glock. And I mean, I think they're fun as hell. Ammo, of course you have ammo compatibility for your pistol too on some, or all of them, well, 2 of mine. I mean, I think they're fun, and you will blow through some ammo because they're so damn fun. I think there's definitely a point for them. Not saying everyone has to have one, but I see their place.
Mm-hmm.
They're such a good training tool as well. If I line up a couple of guns, like if I have some buddies come over and they bring their wives, they always kind of hesitate towards the ARs. But if you pull out a PCC, they can shoot steel up close, so it's fun. On top of that, it's cheap. On top of that, the noise isn't a big deal. So it's kind of nice. Like a lot of times I'll bust out the Banshee or something like that, or the X-Star. People love the X-Star because it's only 3.5 pounds.
Yeah, the X-Star is great. I mean, it's relatively close to a kind of a bedside gun, if you will. I got to get caught up on a couple of questions here. Carmos 1970, thanks for the donation, man. Really appreciate that. He says, what do you guys think of the number 5 shot 1 ounce 12 gauge 2 3/4 inch in a Benelli Nova Tactical? After this human malware thing, it's all I could find. Good show. Well, thank you for that. So what do you guys think of that combination?
I had a Benelli Nova for quite a long time, and it feels like a kind of a polymered up 870. It's extremely reliable. The gun's a great gun. And as far as 12 gauge go, number 5 is going to do the job. It's going to be fine. Like if somebody walks into your door and you hit them with that, they're not going to be happy.
Yeah, they're going to be peppered, man. I mean, as long as the shell fits and it goes boom, it's great, and it's going to do what it needs to do, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with it. That wouldn't be my preferred load, but if that's all I could find, hell yeah, I'd use it.
Yeah, I would have no problem using that either. And I love Benelli's. That's what I used to compete with, a Super Shot, and I've still got a Montefeltro as well. I think they make fantastic shotguns. I've always been a big fan of those. So I need to scroll through here. I know there were a couple others, I think, somewhere. Am I wrong about that? Am I missing something?
No, I think.
Okay, we got the Ohio Gear guy, so we caught up with his PCC. Sorry, I missed that one, Ohio. Okay, so maybe we are caught up there. So thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Brian's got a
what do we think
question.
of rubber bullets?
Oh,
So rubber bullets?
for self-defense. Rubber bullets for self-defense.
Dude, have you guys ever had rubber bullets?
No.
I've seen them. I've never personally shot them.
So I know a guy who's large and red, and when he was younger, had a bunch of rubber bullets, and we may or may not have tested them on live things. And trust me, you wouldn't want to get hit by one.
Yeah.
I promise.
I bet.
It's possible that somebody even shot a cow once with one, and the cow wasn't happy.
Oh, wow.
Now, I did see a beanbag gun, those thick bean bags. I did see one of those shot into a 55-gallon drum at pretty close range, and it did some damage to that drum.
Oh, that'll fuck your shit up, yeah.
Yeah. So I could imagine a rib cage or something. You'd be on the ground for a little while.
Yeah, I want to ask you guys two
rubber
questions.
bullets, that'll kill you.
I want to ask you two questions really quick. Question number one. I'm not paying you, KS, either. Question number one is, can you name one movie where you have seen a beanbag being shot at somebody? Because I have one in my head.
I got one right now.
Hang on. Yeah, there's a slow motion where it's going right at the head. And I'm trying to remember what movie that is.
Beanbag.
Are you thinking of the movie that I'm thinking of? There's a really cool slow motion.
There's a really good classic movie with a guy by the name of Steve McQueen. It was a beanbag shot. I believe it was. I think it was called The Bounty Hunter or some shit. I forget what it was. But he's a bounty hunter in the movie, and he just plasters this guy right in the chest with a beanbag, and just knocks the shit out of him. So I'd like to test that. I want to test that on something one day.
I was thinking of The Rundown.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. That's
the rock gets smoked by it.
Yeah, that's rock, and yeah, okay. That's. I was thinking of that movie. I couldn't remember the name, or I was remembering that, but I don't remember him get. Did he get shot twice or just once?
Twice, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what's weird about rubber bullets though is they're not loud because they have such a low powder charge. It's kind of interesting. Like if you shoot it in 12 gauge, they have no recoil either. It's pretty fascinating.
Huh.
Now,
second question.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Big J.
Go ahead.
So the second question is, I did a video on what I considered the most irrelevant handgun ever, which was the Beretta APX. So my question to all three of you is, what is the most irrelevant handgun that you've owned, shot, still own, got rid of, whatever? I don't care. What handgun do you consider the most irrelevant?
Besides the Glock 44, probably the RP9.
Oh man, let's see here. Most irrelevant gun.
I know exactly. Well, you're thinking.
No.
Go ahead, Big J.
The most irrelevant gun that I have personally owned, not anymore, was the Bodyguard 380. That gun is freaking worthless. Now I could shoot it, up close. It wasn't a target, special gun, and it serves a purpose. But that trigger, oh my Lord. I mean, it was horrific. But yeah, the Bodyguard 380 is just not a good gun.
Yeah. I would say any of the little cars. There was a time when they were talked about constantly. They were a big deal. No one talks about them anymore at all. And I remember when I picked up that S9 when it first came out and did a review on it, I hated that gun. I thought I would like it because I had a car years ago, again, when they were a little bit more popular, and I know different things and I'm a different person now than I was back then. So, of course, my thoughts change over time, but I have zero connection, zero interest, and I understand why a lot of people just walk right past cars. I know there's some fans, but I those things do nothing for me.
I've owned some cars as well, and I have a pretty big video about the 380, the hit piece. I hate the car 380, but some of them are reliable, and that double action trigger seems like it sucks unless you're like a revolver guy and you're used to that. On top of that, that double action can be good for concealed carry. So they do have a place, but and
plus they're tiny. They're tiny.
Yeah, they really are small.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very, very true. Now, this, I think 17, you had mentioned this. Brian had a question out there, and it was specific to Honest. If you had to guess, how many rounds do you shoot in a year?
I try not to keep track, but I said like 30,000 maybe, I don't know. I shot 5,000 last month and 4,000 already this month, so probably more than that. But you got to remember, I do it as a job. You know what I mean? So it's difficult to afford that on your own. I shoot a lot of remanufactured ammunition in my spare time, like for just my practice guns. So try to keep the cost down.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
I was, well, in the shooting prime before all this, I was probably shooting about 12 to 1,500 a month. About that maybe.
That's good.
So.
Yeah, I'd be doing probably about 1,000 to 1,200 a month, depending. Like right now, everything's been shut down. It feels like forever. So I've got just way too much ammo that's just sitting there, and I'm getting a little itchy. But probably about 1,000 to 1,200 a month.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say around 12 to 1,500 a month at my height. It's certainly come down a bit, especially not filming anymore or anything like that. But 1,500 a month was somewhat normal on a busy month, and that was plenty for me. That's about all my risk can really take anyway.
Do you guys do a lot of dry fire drills? Because I do a ton of dry fire. Like people really should practice 2/3 dry fire and just kind of use live fire as a test. I think anyway.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. I've been wearing this my Mantis out. I'm really enjoying it and doing benchmark drills and all kinds of stuff. So I think anytime you can dry fire, it's a good thing.
What's your favorite dry fire gun?
I rotate between them. Recently, I've been doing the 509 full size with the Apex stuff in it, and I've been doing the Shadow 2 a lot.
Nice.
And the Shadow 2, I put a snap cap in there.
Yeah, I do too. I like anything double action because you can just.
Yeah.
I tend to dry fire Glocks a lot. I have no problem abusing those because I can replace a firing pin if I need to. And it would be some of the polymer 80s, that sort of thing. So I'm not carrying them or anything like that. So I will oftentimes, I know this is sounds totally lazy, but I'll sit on the couch and maybe the TV will be on. I'll pick a target either across the room or a couple of rooms away. I'm more focused on grip, trigger control, things like that. So it's not fast dry fire or anything. Of course, you have to rack the gun every time anyway. But for me, it's more just sight acquisition, getting that consistent grip and that sort of thing. And that it's kind of technique focused, if that makes sense.
Yeah, me too. I do a lot of draws and mag changes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Stuff you'll fuck up and you know what I mean?
So Harry Solster, what news station are you watching while you dry fire? That's pretty good. Oftentimes if I'm sitting around, even if the TV's on, I'm rarely ever paying attention to it. It's usually background noise for me because I'm OCD and I've always got other things that I'm working on. I'll get a bunch of stuff out on the floor and be working on things or cleaning out things or whatever. So the TV is nothing more than background noise just to fill the void, I guess.
Yeah. Depends on what's on, but that's mostly what it is for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll pick, like, if you're watching a movie or TV show, sometimes I'll just pick a bad guy, and every time he pops up, I got to dry fire from the draw. You know what I mean? You got to get him before he, the screen changes or whatever. So it gives you an indeterminate time limit. It's kind of fun.
There you go.
I have a buddy
you can throw your gun at it and buy yourself.
A buddy of mine, he watches all that Walking Dead stuff, and he's always, shooting all the zombies and stuff.
Oh yeah.
All right. So here's a good question, and I know we're getting long in time here pretty soon. But God's Wrath is saying, do mag changes need to be so fast? So many channels out there that preach fast mag changes. That's actually a really good question.
And the answer is fuck no, they don't. Like, I mean, in all reality, you're never going to change a mag in real life, and if you do, you're in real trouble. I mean, it's all for USPSA and stuff like that. Like, if I was in a home invasion, I'm going to be in my underwear and I'm going to have the mag in the gun most likely. So shot placement is so much more important. It's absolutely paramount. In the time it takes you to get your sights on the target, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say definitely the same thing. It depends on if you draw your gun and you get a click or something's, not right, or you have a bad mag. hopefully you got a backup mag on you where you could dump it and get back in the fight if you absolutely had to. Hopefully that doesn't ever happen, but it could. But yeah, and I'm not the super speed demon, even in USPSA, I'm not, I'll never claim to be, but I just say do work and get the hell out of there.
17, what do you think?
I basically am going to mirror what the other two said. I mean, speed for mag changes. Like you said, I mean, if you're doing a mag change, you've probably got a bigger issue than what you're planned for, first off. And then secondly, maybe not the speed, but just the quality of replacing the mag, making sure you hit the mag well correctly and pop that sucker in. I mean, it's like anything else. Speed is great, but it looks good on camera. But reality is I'd rather have a positive mag get inserted into the gun as opposed to trying to be super fast with it, especially, with what I'm carrying guns for,
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And I would have said basically the same thing there. I mean, if for some reason you do have to change it, you want to make sure that it's the right direction, get that finger on the end of the tip of the round and that sort of thing. Make sure it's a positive insertion. That sounds weird. To make sure everything is working.
I've been looking for positive insertions since I was 15.
I'm telling you, it's the name of a band, But anyway, yeah. So speed isn't to me quite as important as doing it correctly, I guess. So,
and if you watch those videos where people are doing those speed mag loads, they're standing straight up. So if you're in a situation where you have to shoot somebody, in all likelihood, when you're changing your magazine, somebody's shooting back at you. Why are you standing up? Why are you standing up like that?
Running away.
You should be crouched behind something, hiding. I mean, that's to me is just, again, it's just a lot of flash. I think more so than quality.
Do you guys use a timer when you do your reloads as well? Because one of the things that's so deceiving is people moving fast versus actually having a fast mag change. Like if you move your hands fast, sometimes it's deceiving. You know what I mean? Like you can feel like you're getting a faster mag change, but efficiency really is faster. So like the less movement you have, the better generally. So a lot of times when I'll be doing reload drills, I'll be surprised what the times are, because sometimes you feel like you're moving faster when you're doing more. It's kind of strange.
But I also think a lot of times, though, people always talk about that stuff and they're making it I think in their brain, they're thinking that the conditions for it are ideal, that there's no pressure to do it. There's no anxiety, no adrenaline. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think the best way to train for that would be to have somebody shooting at you while you're doing it so that you could really tell, holy shit, this is what it's like.
Yeah.
Like now you're in the shit.
Well, that's why you shouldn't discount like simunition training or, I mean, you can go to lots of training classes that have that. I mean, the fight with Yeager has that. And like, you can just go to your local airsoft match and get fucked up by a 17-year-old who really knows how to gunfight and you've never practiced. You know what I mean? Like that, it's sad, but true, or, one way to put a good stressor on is just go to a USPSA match or an IDPA match. And then you can feel those jitters a little bit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You have that guy following you with the timer. You're trying not to do the 180. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Gives you a little stress.
Very, very true. Well, fellas, it's a little after 8, at least Central Time. So you guys want to do a little wrap up here, let everybody know what's going on, what you have coming down the pipe?
Yeah, I mean, I just had a question, but I am going to be doing some 22 videos. I've got some stuff that I'm going to be doing on those and, some gear reviews and just stuff like that. I've been, since I've been off, I've been kind of doing stuff around the house, catching up on stuff, honeydew stuff, and just trying to stay busy. So I haven't really had a lot of time for videos. I'm going to probably film one tomorrow. So
cool. 17.
Just working from home, doing things around the house, just kind of doing some maintenance things that I've let go for a little too long. I can't shoot a damn thing, so that kind of blows. So I'll be doing the kind of like the initial impression on that Marlin. That'll be coming up soon. I just don't know how I'm going to do it yet. But other than that, I got some extra money to spend, and I'm trying to figure out what my next thing should be. I'm not sure. So if anybody out there would like to email me with those suggestions, within reason. I mean, it can't be a $4,000 Phoenix like MD Polo, which, by the way, that redback is fucking sweet. It's a beautiful gun. But I'm not doing a $4,000 on that thing. But email me. Let me know. What do you guys think? I don't know what to do. We were talking a little bit earlier about the Archon and the shadow systems, but I'm not convinced that I want to do a shadow systems because it's basically a really fancied up Glock 19, so to speak, but I'm not sure. So if you guys have any ideas, let me know. But other than
What's
that,
your price
that's
range?
about it. Well, I mean, $300 would be great. But you know,
Have you tried that Koenig
probably.
Elite SC?
Well, I looked at those, man. I'm just a little hesitant. I got the M&P 2.0 subcompact, and I'm very happy with that. And I don't know if I want to add any more to the armory, so to speak.
I got
So
you.
I'm like,
really
I don't really
impressed
know what
with it. I shot it this morning.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, you really got to try that 2.0 subcompact. That's what you got to try. That should be your next one. That's my request.
I will try that.
Think,
It can't be
I think
that hard.
you'll be happy with it. No, and they're fairly cheap, but their triggers suck because it's that stupid hinge from M&P or Smith & Wesson. So I don't really know what I want to do next. Like I'm thinking about $800, maybe possibly $1,000, but I don't think it's going to go that high.
Well, I don't know if you're going to do a grip job, but the Archon, aside from the grip, I fucking hated the grip. I mean, KS loved it, but the Archon is no joke. I mean, it's super flat shooting. The trigger is great right out of the box. Sights are great. I mean, it's a cool gun. I mean, it's different than what you're used to, I bet, which is nice. I like different stuff. I like ingenuity. I tried that Trinity, Nevada slide. Oh man, I just like stuff that goes fast. But yeah, as far as my channel, we're just doing the same stuff. We're just gonna be doing top fives and stripper videos. I don't know.
So I'd echo on the Archon for sure. But anyway, well, listen, gentlemen. First off, thanks so much for being on the panel. Appreciate it, and thanks for coming on this side of the fence, and so I could dust off the channel a little bit. That's a lot of fun. Good to see everybody in the crowd. So many familiar faces. Great to see that everybody's still typing away and all that, which is awesome. But thanks everybody for hanging out and spending an hour with us, and we will definitely do it again for sure. So, you guys have a great night, and thanks again.
You too. Take care. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, my face got bigger.